think we are going. Get it
Let me
up on
get
the
it
way.
up.
Get it up. Where are we
You got
here?
mopped, right? We did absolutely get
We get mopped.
mopped.
Very embarrassing. Oh, we already got people in here too. What up, everyone?
There
We
we
got
go.
beat
Wow, I can't believe how
belt to
quickly
ass
people
on
joined. That's
national
awesome.
belt to ass on national television. What was Tiago cooking at halftime? I don't know, man. Mitch Johnson figured out that when we were talking about in like game one that they can just throw it to Wemby for a lob every time, and that should be their
Yeah.
strategy. Mitch Johnson's like, all right, it's time to whip that out.
Yeah, in terms of the Spurs, like that was the main thing is like even watching these first half highlights that are playing on TV right now, it was Wimby just kind of hanging out around the perimeter, which
Mm-hmm.
is, we talked about this going into the series. That was the ideal thing we wanted to see from the our defense is like just let Wimby hang out around the mid range and 3-point line and try to force those shots because anytime he wants to get at the hoop, he can do it
Yeah,
against us right now.
yeah,
And like you said, Mitch Johnson realized that in the second half. That's why they played well. That's half the story that doesn't explain. There's two things. It's like, why did the Spurs play well? Why did we play so badly? And that's, I think, the answer why the Spurs played so much better is that they realized they have a 7'4" guy who can dunk on us every single time and also block every single shot if we, for some unexplainable reason, decide to challenge him on like half the plays.
it's just
It's like
because
you watch Wimby play defense and you're like, well, no shit, he's going to block that. You're running right at him.
right.
Also,
Most
because,
most centers would most centers would
yeah,
block
exactly.
that.
And so it's weird that the guy who's the best shot blocker the league has ever seen, we felt the need to consistently challenge at the rim in the second half of the game. But yeah, Flowsy's right. Wimby is a demigod. He is. It's
I
unbelievable.
mean, he's very very good, and we saw that on display. It's so
I
frustrating
would,
because you saw how good the defense was in the first half, and then as soon as it felt like a mental thing. Like I don't. It felt like as soon as those first couple shots went down for them, we just lost control of everything we could do well on both sides of the floor. Like I don't even
yeah.
know. I mean, we were obviously outmatched like talent wise, but
And, I've seen you know, uh, a lot of blame for Tiago for that second half performance, which I'm not saying I disagree, but I would like to see in the comments like what you guys think Tiago did wrong because I'm okay with blaming the coach if the coach felt like they were the main problem. I watched it. I thought we as a team played very very poorly. Like
yeah,
the players out there did not perform. If you guys have a explanation to why you think Tiago was so bad in the second half, I'm not saying he wasn't. I didn't blame that on Tiago, but I'd like to see what the explanation is
yeah,
because there's always a lot of coach blaming going around, which I'm all for if it's valid and there's reasons to back it up. And I'm not saying there's not reasons to back it up. I would just like to hear it from you guys.
yeah,
And do we read the comments? Yes, we do read the comments.
yeah.
I don't know who Crasher Ashman is.
Yo,
Is
go
somebody I
ahead.
know? Do I know you, Crasher Ashman?
It's your dad. Mark's coming in under an
Yeah.
alias.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I have no idea. Well, the Pete or Pete with two T's. Scoot Henderson 0 points on 0 of 10. That was
I think he
really
was 0 of 7, but still not
yeah.
good, obviously.
It's I that I the Dylan Harper technical seemed to have like kind of completely broken him. If at least you're just narrowing in on the past 5 quarters of Scoot's play. Um,
Yeah.
absolute kind of just I mean absolute no show.
Well, that's what it was more than anything. It was like he was just kind of invisible. Like I know 0 for 7 is bad, but and this is not excusing his play or saying he played well at all. He played very poorly, but he was more just not there at all than he was like blowing up plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like to me at least, there's some loud 0 of 7s. It was like a very quiet 0 of 7. I just felt like Scoot's a guy who really needs to get into a rhythm. Those first quarter fouls completely got him out of any type of rhythm. Then we
yeah,
didn't see him
yeah,
until halfway through the second. It was it was a bummer. It was nothing I don't think it's proof that Scoot isn't a guy who can play in the playoffs like he's shown in the
yeah.
first 3 games. He absolutely can. It was just
It was
it
just
was
a
a guy in the first his first playoff series having a really off game where he just wasn't in any rhythm. Yeah, it was 0-7 is about as bad as it can get, but
Yeah.
I didn't watch that and think Scoot was the reason we lost. It was just Scoot was
Yeah.
definitely in no way helped us
Right.
win. You know what I mean?
I think it was just. I mean, I think it's just his confidence was kind of shot. Like you said, the fouls didn't take him into a rhythm. I just think the problem or the what, and that's fine. I think that's fine for first half. Like you've been scoring so much, and like we're doing good things in the first half, but it's that second half where someone needed to just come alive and like that's why I don't think I blame Tiago as much because like so much was working. Like I know you can only you can probably anticipate a run coming from them, and I hope they did because of the way we play. But at a certain point, like someone just needs to go step up and make a couple tough shots and
Yeah.
calm things down. And Denny couldn't do it. He was turning it over. Drew did it once or twice in that third quarter, but at a certain point, like our defense was playing well. They just hit tough shots, and then their defense was playing really well. We have to hit a couple tough shots to break that down, and just no one would do it. And I think that's where I was hoping Scoot would, you know, use his mentality that I feel like he's displayed more, where like he doesn't let the last thing that happened to him discourage him as much.
Sure.
Um, and I thought maybe in that third quarter he could just take those shots with confidence. I think he got the first look of the second half for us, and it was a pretty open three, and that just sailed left.
Yeah.
So I think maybe after that he felt his confidence was down. But yeah, I mean, just no one wanted to grab it. I think that was the biggest thing. Um, it's just
Oh, what's up, Asher? It's Asher, my boy. He's one of
students.
my old students. He's the
Nice.
man.
Welcome, Asher.
Dude,
Welcome,
thanks for
everyone.
watching. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Asher's the coolest kid ever. I'm
Let's go,
happy
Asher.
he's in here.
Let's go.
That means like we got to be on good behavior then, because we're setting an example for the youth right now.
Yeah. We got
So
two
no,
tier. Yeah. Tier. To Tiago point, HG Highlight said Tiago wouldn't call timeouts when we needed to, and Alec Heron said the trend of coming out at halftime, Sharman soft when the other teams come out having made adjustments seems Tiago related. I think Tiago called a timeout at the right time after they went up 8-0 to start the third quarter, but at a certain point, I don't think you can only call so many timeouts.
exactly. It's like, dude, you don't. I
I did
understand. Like,
think,
I wish he was able to have an unlimited amount of timeouts to call after every time we were absolutely blowing it in the second half, but
yeah,
he doesn't.
I,
You have six to burn. You know what I mean for the
I,
entirety of the game.
yeah, I
I
did
thought he
think,
called the one he did in the right time,
yeah,
personally.
I thought he didn't do it quick enough in game 3, and I thought he did it at the proper time now. Just try to, calm the storm early, but it wasn't working. I thought the challenge was terrible though. I thought that was an awful challenge to go
Which was
for.
a challenge? The one on Denny
The
on
one where Denny on Dylan Harper.
yeah,
There was just so much contact there. Like you're not. I guess it's a high value one because maybe the offensive foul or the shooting foul turns into an offensive foul, but I thought there was way too much contact going on there
yeah,
for all of that. So I thought the challenge was bad. I think when you lose the second half by I don't know, was it 40? They had
yeah,
73 points in the second half, and we had 35. So
yeah,
we lost the second half by 38 points. That's not on any. That's 38 points isn't just the coach's fault. 38 points
yeah,
is the entire team completely crumbled.
yeah, exactly.
It's
And I
not
agree
one
with Henry
person.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
He said, the half court offense isn't a thing. Because, I mean, that's, again, the main thing I saw that's been the issue the entire year that we talked about a lot last game. It's like when we were getting stops like we did in the first half, which were, we played awesome defense in the first half, but their game plan was kind of gifting us stops with Wimby, running the offense from the perimeter. Uh, and we were able to score a lot in transition, or not even transition, just like playing an offense where we were scoring before the defense was completely set. In the second half, like even when we were getting plays off of transition, we were still. It's like we were
Slow.
waiting for them to get their defense set.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably frustrating. I think that was the biggest issue. Is we didn't play with pace in the second half. The defense with the Spurs was able to get as set as they possibly could. We couldn't do anything because we don't really have an efficient half court offense. So yeah, if you want to blame Thiago for that. I understand that. I saw that was a player's problem because like Eli said, the trend of coming out halftime, sharp and soft, and other teams come out making adjustments seems Thiago related. I agree with that, but that's also kind of how it goes. Like the losing team is the team that comes out. The losing team of the first half is the team that comes out with adjustments. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
They're the ones who have adjustments to make. Our job, or as for the coach and the players, is to be able to respond to that. I thought Thiago coached a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I saw players play. I mean, I don't see how a coach is able to tell guys to stop running into people and losing the ball off of live dribble turnovers.
Yep.
It's like we have Drew Holiday doing that 6 times over this game. And I thought Drew played a solid game, I guess, overall. But
I thought
I
it was a
mean, I
great
can't
first
blame the
half.
coach. Yeah, I can't blame the coach personally for like we don't even really get set into our half court offense because of just endless turnovers. We finished with 17 to their 9, if I'm
I
remembering
think
that
they had a couple
correctly.
more than 9. They got 12. So
We had 12 yet.
we
We
had
had 17 or
18.
16.
We had
We had
18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 from
So
Denny,
and
6 from Drew, 2
yeah,
Monty, 2.
and
Um,
Denny's were frustrating, but at least they were coming off of trying to create something. I thought Drew's were especially frustrating because a lot of them were just live dribble
yeah. That
nonsense.
you've been
So
throwing away. Yeah.
that was tough to see.
Yeah. Um,
Good game for Shea, Blazers and 6 Sid. I personally completely disagree. I think that he was
I,
an absolute disaster defensively. I know
yeah.
we went on that nice run with him where he had that
The spark, the
nice three
offensive
that will.
spark. Yeah. That was good in the
Yeah, he had a
first
nice
half.
little offensive spark, but that when you're playing like how he's playing defensively, and what's always interesting to see during playoff games that you have a national audience watching the team for the first time. Everyone outside of Portland is talking about how poor Shaedon played. They're talking about how he's a complete turnstile on defense, how he wasn't able when he's in the game, he's just targeted immediately.
Yeah.
I liked his offensive spark he had. I thought he played the right amount because he came in when we needed him to have that burst offensively. He did that well, but once the defensive lapses just kept happening, it was time to pull him.
Yeah.
And that, in my eyes, right now is the best way Shea could be used. So, yeah, I guess I could say it was a good Shea game because he was able to provide what he needed to. But once it was really obvious the stuff that he was taking away, it was time to put him on the bench.
Yeah. Sabir says before this week, I don't know what the Spurs' largest playoff comebacks were, but after today, Game 4 was the second largest playoff comeback for the Spurs, and Game 3 was the third largest. So we're doing it in pretty record-breaking fashion with these comebacks.
Yes, for sure.
Game 3 was. It's like, I mean, but were you surprised at all? I was surprised at how quickly it went away, but I don't think I was.
Wait,
What?
do we get $2 from Asher?
Yeah, Asher gave you $2.
Dude, I'm gonna give you that $2 back. I'm not taking money from one of my
What a
old
student.
students. That's crazy. That is amazing.
Asher's
That's
got it
so
like that.
funny.
Appreciate
Dude,
you,
if
Asher.
you come by school next week,
Brad will give you
$2
$3 actually.
I'll give you $3. I
He's
can't
got an
take money
investment.
That's crazy. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Um,
What up, Justin? Can you explain the reason it is best practice for coaches to tighten rotations in the playoffs? I would have loved to shake it up more this series with minutes for Veet, CD, more Matisse, etc. It is interesting that Matisse is just completely yanked from the rotation.
yeah.
In favor of more Jeremy and Shaedon, which I don't mind. I mean, Veet, yeah, like an offensive spark moment for Veet could have been nice. The problem is I just don't think like Thiago would put Veet in and run a play for him. So I think it would just be kind of sitting there idle, and then we'd have to use Veet on defense. Like I don't think Thiago would put Veet in and then be like, okay, run the offense we have that gets Veet an open shot. It'd just be like, okay, Veet, you're in now. Okay, Denny, go run iso ball. Like there's no dynamic to that where we're putting someone in. So I think that's maybe the problem. I don't mind that the rotations were tighter. Jeremy had a good game today. I was overall, I guess. It kind of felt
Overall, yeah, he was overall positive. Still some disaster plays in the second half, but
for
same with everybody.
everybody, yeah. Like no one had a
So it's kind
good
of
second half.
yeah, it's hard to really blame him for that. It was Jeremy's best game of the series, which is not saying much at all, but it was his best game of the series. People were talking about Giroux, said he thinks Henry was saying this, the turnovers were fatigue. Very easily could be. Like I don't disagree with that
Part of it, I'm
at
sure.
all.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just so many straight drives to the hoop that he just dribbled off of his foot, and they just stood. again, the Spurs are proof of how important just playing like a fundamentally sound defense is. Because it's not like they were doing anything I mean, obviously having Wemby is just like a cheat code defensively,
Yeah.
and he showed that in the second half. But also, dude, I can't believe how much they just kind of stood there and let us run into them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was not
They just
like they were
walled
doing
up.
anything overly complicated. A lot of the turnovers they forced were off of just kind of standing their ground. And I wish we would see that more defensively because I think that's when we're best defensively. That's what you saw in the fourth quarter of game two. It's like we were, and we talked about this post game. It's like we're not doing anything crazy defensively. We
Yeah.
just have big, strong guys with length who are just standing there and letting the other team kind of have to create around them. We have the length to do that. I don't know why we feel the need to play kind of almost like a hyperactive defense, which is what I saw tonight. Because when you play hyperactively like that, it's a lot of movement. It allows for a lot of space to be created. And if you have an intelligent team like the Spurs, they can take advantage of that space, which I thought they did all night. Because all the Spurs really did offensively in that second half was, oh, look, space in the lane.
Yeah.
I'm going to go walk there, get the ball, and score. It's like they did such a great job of finding the space that we gave to them and, getting opportunities offensively from that. What we have to do better as a team, as we did in the first half, I thought, even though, again, Spurs, we did a great job in the first half, I thought, of just um, uh, making sure we took advantage of what the Spurs were doing wrong. When the
Yeah.
Spurs stopped doing things wrong, we didn't really force them to do anything differently than what they were doing successfully,
Yeah.
which is a bummer. But again, I don't know if I blame Thiago for that. I saw guys just not handling
Not communicating on.
leads well.
Yeah, they weren't handing off guys and switching well. They weren't communicating well. Some of the like a lot of the Wemby dunks were not. He's so tall. Obviously, you're not gonna get like a block on him on anything. But some of them were wide open rolls because someone just missed a guy. Um,
Yeah,
like the inbounds one, Denny missed one where Wemby got wide open. It was It was, and again, I think a lot of that really just came down to like as soon as they hit us in the mouth a little bit with that 8-0 run, I think it was a mental thing more than anything, more than like a we could keep up. Like we clearly saw in the first half we have something in there. We have a good defense in us. But when the going got tougher, we shrunk to the moment, right? It wasn't about that. It was I don't know. It was always coming, but I thought that because I don't think we were mentally ready for that moment, not really because weren't physically ready for the moment.
and Henry Hamilton in the chat brings up a really good point. He says it's a tough spot for any player to be in. I think our game plan relies too much on one guy holding it together. I agree with that. I feel like our half court offense is like a hey man, everyone take turns type of
Yeah,
scheme, which
Jeremy,
is
your time. Your turn. Denny, your turn.
it's why we excel so much when we get in transition when we're able to get defensive stops because it forces us to play more cohesively as a team. And what's really, it's like we have guys who can kind of go one at a time. Guys like Drew, guys like Denny, even guys like Shea, even guys like Scoot. Like we can kind of they have the talent to do that. But this is my going to be my criticism of Tiago for as long as he's a coach because I don't really see him changing this anytime soon. But it's again the lack of on-ball screens. It's like I'm surprised. Like ISO ball is ridiculous. Like is ridiculous when you have no one to actually create space for you in the playoffs. We're playing the Spurs, a top three defense in the entire NBA. It's like if we're gonna do that, uh, if we're gonna play, kind of take turns basketball, it has to come with some help from some of our great screeners because we're
Yeah.
seeing Donovan be a complete non-factor offensively right now, other than offensive reboundings, but he's not really dominating on the offensive glass right now like he should be, even though he did have three tonight, which is nice. But for him to be utilized or not utilized properly, but for him to have a positive impact on the offense, he should be getting like he needs to get like 10 offensive rebounds right now. But the best way going into the season, we said that Donovan's the most underrated offensive player on this team, and that he's arguably the most important offensive player on this team because we don't have very much movement in the half court offense. So we need a tough guy like him who can set good screens, and he's continuing to not be used that way. And it's really, really frustrating to watch because it causes, I think it's also the main reason for so many of the uh, turnovers in the half court. It's because, like, yeah, when you have tough defenses like that, and the only option is to kind of just drive head on into guys and they play it straight up, you're going to dribble off those guys. You're going to dribble off your foot. If we don't provide any type of movement for us offensively, or sorry, any type of space, that's how live ball turnovers are going to happen because you're going to feel the need to force things, which we did the entire second half.
Yeah. Yeah, and Alex brings up Shaedon again. There's a couple of Shadens in a row. Do you think Shaedon would be playing more if he wasn't coming off injury? And I don't. I've seen a lot of people. Some people are very adamant that he's hurt right now, and that's kind of why he's not getting playing time slash not like maybe defending well, I guess. But that's not. I mean, Shaden's never really been a good defender. So I don't. I think maybe it's if you want to give him a little room, that's why he's not getting as many minutes, I guess. But I think it's just so clear. Like we talked about it after game 2 when he shoved Champagny or Vassell in the back and got that immediate foul. And they got 2 free throws, and that's when he got pulled. And you saw it again today. There was the one where, I posted a clip on it on Blazers Lead. It's Tiago was calling out that they're going to screen for Wemby in the corner, and clearly someone down there heard, and then the screen happened, and then Shaedon stood still as Wemby rolled to the rim freely, and then he put his hand up, and Tiago called a timeout to basically get him out. So I think it's like, yeah, maybe things would be going better if he wasn't coming off injury, if he was in more of a rhythm, but I don't think he's not injured up here. You know what I mean? He's not.
Yeah.
He's like maybe he could stay in front of his man a little bit better. Maybe the free throws, like Seamus says, like maybe he'd be a little bit better on his free throws because he's missed 3 in the past 2 games. Like those little things could be there, but he was running out in transition. He was flying to the rim. Both of those things I thought were good, but it's never been like he's not explosive enough is the problem with Shaedon.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, with Shea, he became unplayable defensively. And that's just kind of what, like, HG Highlight said he was a cone today. He was. This was to me, is a worst case of a scenario defensively for Shaedon in a playoff game. And, you brought up that play where Tiago calls exactly the play that the Spurs are running, and Shea knows he blows it. He puts his hand up the second it happens. He's like, "That's on me."
That's on me.
So
he knows it more than
what's
anyone.
tough. Exactly. It's like he knew it was him, which is good, and I also like it because it makes it kind of indefensible. I can correct because sometimes what's tough about Jethro and I after our stream yesterday, we watched the entire third quarter, and it's sometimes tough to know whose fault is what. It's kind of nice that Shaedon owned up to it, so I can be like, okay, it was his.
That one was on me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's tough, and I think in terms of one-on-one defense, he's clearly trying, but he's a really, really bad defender. He's not strong enough to handle the bigger guards that the Spurs have, and we're getting absolutely wrecked that way. So it's
yeah, and Fox.
I'd love if Shea would
Fox
be
was
able to
running
play.
right by him too.
Just constantly.
It's just tough. Like it just has to be better. I think. I don't know. Gigstraw says, I know you guys keep saying we have talent on the roster, but I really do feel like we lack talent, and it was clear today. Maybe they just need more experience to grow into what they can be. I mean, I think you're seeing that there is talent. I think we've been saying a lot that we're not using it properly on the offensive end.
I'm going to say this. We have a lot of theoretical talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it started to feel like. Because, he makes a good point. It's like we keep talking about the talent we have, but if we're getting outscored 73-35, either we don't have that talent or that talent isn't performing. And because like I've said, in my eyes, Jeremy Grant's a good basketball player. Drew Holiday, Tumani, Donovan, Denny, like we have Scoot, Shea. It's like we have guys who, again, theoretically are talented, but you're right. We're showing right now that we are not talented enough. So yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah. We have guys who are really good at things, who are really athletic, but it feels like right now too many of them have flaws and inconsistencies that, you just look at it. I just feel like the Spurs role players, those guys, like Devin Vassell is like small and maybe not a great defender, but you're not feeling like he's ever like, none of them can get hunted, right? All of them can hit some tough shots when they need to. Like it feels like it feels like Jeremy's a good basketball player, but it's like, can he really go get you a tough bucket when you need to? It feels like it's more he has to be like put in an advantageous spot. It kind of feels like Denny has to be on a guy who's smaller than him with no rim protector. Like it feels like we're more of a team who's has players with talents that shine in good situations, whereas the Spurs are like they just have sound players who will over the course of a 48-minute game give you good play. And for us,
Yeah.
it's too often like Denny's good one night, Denny's bad another night. Scoot's awesome one night, Scoot's bad another night. Drew's awesome one night, he's bad. Like it's too much variance from player to player that we can't ever find a rhythm. And I think a more sound game plan, a more sound offensive scheme, like a really high level coach could bring more out of this team, obviously. Which is kind of the issue I have with Thiago. It's like I think he's done good with what he's had here, but can he take? Do we know if he can take that next step? I think it's probably worth it to find out because he's taken the first big step, which is to get us back to the playoffs. But we just have a weird team. We have a weird team with kind of weird players. I will honestly
Yeah.
say.
Here's the main thing is that we have a lot of talented guys. We have a lot of guys who are kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah,
Like we
one
have
dimensional
a
is a good
little
way to
bit of
put it.
one-dimensional.
Yeah,
It's why the Spurs. I mean, you can't really name a guy who's playing right now who isn't a two-way player. I guess you could say Carter Bryant.
yeah, because he's better on
Like,
defense.
but
But Carter
yeah,
Bryant's
but
had
he's
his
only
he's had his moments, right? Like,
exactly, and even he went 2 of 3 from three tonight, and he only played 6 minutes. If you go down the roster, it's like Vassell, two-way player. Champagny, like a two-way player. Victor, obviously two-way player. Darren Fox, who I never took as a great defender, I thought has been really good defensively
yeah,
this series. So you need guys who are either very, very elite on one end or are genuine two-way players. And like so far, it's like we have Denny, who I thought was great tonight, actually. We haven't really talked about that. We should talk a little bit about the positives. The turnovers were brutal, but I appreciated at least that they were coming off of trying to create something, and the Spurs were just so great defensively. And we give so little reason to create space because of our lack of shooting
yeah,
that it's like Denny has to force passes. He just has to. And sadly, there's not. We don't really have a roster that makes the Spurs help us create space. So Tumani has been, a one-way player this series. Donovan has been a zero-way
yeah.
player this series.
Yep.
Drew's been a two-way player. That's why you're seeing him get 40 minutes every
Drew's
game.
definitely been our best player the last two games.
Scoot has been actually been a two-way player tonight. He was just like again, he was just invisible. I mean, I want to people in the chat like, do you guys think that Scoot was like really like actively hurting us? Because I felt like he was barely noticeable, and I wish which was actually in some ways even more disappointing. Because something I really love about Scoot is I feel like he's like constantly a guy who can make plays even when his shooting is off, and I don't think he gave up much tonight, but he just added absolutely nothing. Jeremy, is a theoretical two-way player. I'm not
Yeah,
really blaming Jeremy for tonight. Shaedon, one-way player. Rob, two-way player. That's why he's been so good. Another good game for Rob. I know 4 and 6 doesn't really scream out to you. What
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Jethro, is what did you think about the decision to go small ball in the fourth quarter?
Um. Well, I think Thiago determined that we couldn't play Clingan out there, which I think I understand. I like that at least Clingan was trying to do some stuff inside the paint. Didn't really work in the end, but at
Yeah.
least he tried that. But he reverted back to being just a 3-point specialist who can't make his threes. So when that happens, I think at a certain point you have to give Rob a little bit of rest, and then the alternative. I think he decided that the small ball was better than having Clingan out there. I guess I don't mind it as much. It's not something that's really worked, but I guess in theory, if everything is collapsing all at once, you'd rather Tiago, I guess, try something that he thinks works and maybe can spark a little bit of offense. But small ball against Wemby doesn't feel like a great strategy because he can play on the perimeter. And it's not like our small ball creates spacing with 5 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's at least 2 people out there still when we're playing small ball that can't shoot. So I don't really know what we're getting, and we're probably giving up a lot on the defensive end because Wemby is just that much taller than our tallest guy. So I don't
I think
really
it's
I
getting
don't
a
really
little
mind that he
ridiculous.
tried it, but
Sorry, keep going.
yeah, I don't really mind that he tried it, but I'm not really surprised that it was to no avail, right?
Yeah, and you talk about like a lot of the issues you feel like warrants at least a shot from Veet to get some minutes because clearly the stuff that we're doing right now is not working. Veet, when we got him, we were like, okay, on paper, this is a perfect fit. Obviously, on the court so far, it hasn't been, but V kind of brings an energy and a shooting touch that you feel like is at least give like, and again,
A
theoretically, because we've not
chance.
seen it yet on the
It's worth a
court.
chance.
It's worth a chance. I was actually happy to see City get minutes. You're reminded about how he's just an absolute zero as a shooter,
Yeah.
but the energy was nice. But I think a lot of people are going to disagree with this. I don't really see a reason why City should get any minutes on a good team next season. Uh, he's
Yeah.
shooting at now, I mean, I think 13% from three over the last 30 games.
Yeah.
Uh, I love his energy he brings. I like that he was able to come in for 2 minutes and like he played with real fire, but it's just more proof that we need to add some guys who are more who are legitimate two-way guys on this roster when it comes to like they talked about we want to be more talented. That's we have talent, but we just need talent that's playable in the playoffs. And we're kind of showing that at this point so far. And I think this will change for Donovan. I think this will change for Tumani because we also have to remember this is our first time in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And for our first time in the playoffs, we have been competitive and had a double-digit lead in three of the four
Three of
games.
the
Is
four
that
games.
right?
We've been up by 15 points at least in the second half of. We actually weren't up by 15 points in game. We have either won the game or been up 15 in the second half in three of the four games. It is
Yeah.
eerily similar to that 2019 Western Conference Finals, which really sucks to compare anything to. But yeah, I
I'm a
mean,
little surprised to see people talking about how Denny, they didn't think Denny played well. Denny finished with 26 points on 57% shooting and 67% shooting from three. Like I
8 of
thought
9 from the line.
8 of 9 from the line. I thought he played a really again, the turnovers are tough, but I feel like they were more of a result from our team having no spacing. But
Yeah,
offensively, like we talk about how is he going to play against Wimby? I thought he chose. I know the getting blocked by him a couple times in the fourth quarter was tough to see, but that's going to happen. He overall was, I think, is showing that when he's feeling well, he looked a lot healthier tonight, which is really good to see. I thought he played a much more ethical and fundamentally sound game that was much more enjoyable to watch, as we talked about
yeah,
after the last game. It was a hideous watch for Denny. It wasn't just he played bad; it was not fun to watch last game. This game, I thought he was really solid. And I think he showed in game one in this game and in the first quarter of game two that he can do well enough to play around Wemby. Putting up 26 a game on Wemby is kind of as good as you're going to do,
yeah.
especially for Denny's play style, which requires a lot of going at a guy who's that big.
Sure.
But
Downhill Denny.
I didn't take from that game that I took from that game that Denny has what it takes to go to be the guy on a game, which is I was happy to see because I was worried after um, game three that this was going to be the kind of series that did give some question marks on Denny, even if they
Yeah.
were almost entirely
Yeah,
health
and
related.
I think there's question marks, but I don't think it's. There's also a lot of answers. Like he's providing a lot, and if we're, you know, he was. Drew probably our best player at least in the first half. I think everyone played bad in the second half, so I'd probably go Drew and then Denny. Those two rose up. It doesn't feel like anyone else did. Asher gave another dollar, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
You're
And
kidding.
then he gave another 99 cents at least. And then Vincent
Dude, you're
Rose
the
gave
man. That's crazy.
Vincent Rose tipped us $2, which is awesome. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank
I see
you.
Vincent in the comments all the time. He said appreciate
That's
y'all
awesome.
who's on the chopping block now. And I think, I mean, I think a reference chopping block is like up for trading to upgrade, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think it's really changed as it's probably Shaedon for us. Um, and it's just a bummer because I do feel like I don't want to give up on Shea, but if there is an upgrade out there, it's like you said with the two-way thing. It's that, and I think we're just roster. I think to the other side of it, it's like we're rostering too many guys who are just complete zeros on offense,
Yeah.
and like we basically got to just lean into one of them and ride with just Chris Murray and I would want to keep Matisse. I don't know why he got completely phased out of the lineup today, but no, literally nothing to hurt on that. But it's too
Yeah.
many of those guys. City, Chris Murray, Blake Wesley, Matisse, like those four. I mean, Clingan kind of feels like that almost because of at least the way we're using him, right? So he's obviously not on the chopping block, but it's too
But
many.
also,
I think it's too
yeah.
many of those defense only players who are on the chopping block that we need to just take some flyers on guys who can be two-way role players, like we said, and Shaedon if he doesn't get his head out of his ass, basically.
And dude, but let's acknowledge something. We had a 17-point lead or a
Yeah,
19-point lead. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like this was not a game. Obviously, the second half was as bad as it could have possibly been. I think the second half was an absolute 0 out of 10 worst case scenario.
yeah,
But I still think most of what we saw from the second half was a lack of experience type of thing.
yeah. Just not ready for the
Um,
moment.
it was not like if we're coming out and we're playing bad from the first minute to the last minute, that's one thing. But it's not. I don't think there's that many guys who are still on the chopping block when we've showed that as a seventh seed in their first time in the playoffs, we can play half of a really good game.
Yeah,
That's more than you can say for it's compared to the Phoenix Suns. Let's see where the Suns are right now. I can promise you we're in a better position right now based on how we played in the playoffs to the Phoenix Suns.
yeah. I mean, we won a
Um,
game, right? Like,
exactly. We
there's
won a
lots of
game and we've
good.
had a lead in every game.
Yeah,
And it's like the Spurs, like Mock said, the Spurs they're just better right now
they
at a
just are.
certain rate. They're better and we're very inexperienced.
Yeah. Well, and HB says Spurs role players know exactly what to know. Know exactly what to know. They never look lost or confused. And I mean that's furthers the point. Like they just looked ready for it. But let me ask you, like, why do you think the Spurs are ready for it, being a team that has just as little playoff experience as us? Why are they ready for this and we aren't?
Because they lack the experience, but they're just more talented. And here's the thing, we had a great comeback against them too.
Yeah.
We were down 12 with 5 minutes to go. Both teams this series have showed their inexperience at multiple times. The Spurs showed their inexperience by being down 19 at halftime.
Right.
But it's almost a better position to be in if you're as talented as this. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be down
Oh
because you
wow.
know you have something that you have to. It's easier to gain experience by uh, having bad things happen to you than having good things.
Yeah.
We played really well in that first half. Inexperienced teams are more likely to lose it in the second half. And I think we showed in game two that an inexperienced team, it's again almost better when you're playing when there's two inexperienced teams playing
Yeah.
to be down at times because you get to see what you're doing wrong and learn from that in the moment. It's harder to do that when you're had a 17-point lead and you're getting punched in the second half.
Yeah.
So what the reason they're inexperienced and winning is one, they're more talented.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not even just one. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Right now, even though they're equally
Better
inexperienced,
players.
they're a better team. And I think this playoff series has showed that both teams are having their uh, inexperienced bumps. The Spurs are just currently better.
Yeah. Brad Karsten Dinsmore tipped us $20. He's an absolute
Dude,
man.
the absolute man. That's
I
awesome.
really appreciate that. I mean, I didn't think we'd be getting tips after losses, but Blazer fans know how to stick together. So appreciate you, Karsten. He
Yeah,
says,
that's incredible.
who do y'all want to try and trade for this summer? I mean,
My
Brad,
guy's still Trey Murphy.
Trey
It's going to be Trey
Murphy.
Murphy. I mean, I love Giannis, obviously. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of out on him. And more I understand a little bit why. Because, you do watch his team in the playoffs, and would he help us? Unquestionably.
Yeah,
But it is in some ways an awkward fit, and I will acknowledge that. A
yeah.
team that desperately needs shooting.
To put
I mean, he's the
all the
defensive player of the
chips in
year.
the honest. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, so I kind of get that to an extent. It's like if we get Giannis, we still need to make huge upgrades with our shooting.
right.
If we get someone like Trey Murphy, we that kind of it's to me it's the perfect upgrade from
It's that
Shea to
two-way
starting shooting
spacing. I
guard.
think I think yeah, Trey Murphy might be hard to pry from the Pelicans, but
I
it's
don't know, dude. They're
it's
so stupid.
I know. We need we need a two-way player who can shoot. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty abundantly clear. I mean, I don't know how many moves I think we need to make because we have Dame coming back, and it feels like there has been a lot of good. And it feels like Scoot has almost turned himself into one of those two-way guys who can shoot. If you're based on the
Sure.
last three games, maybe not this game, but yeah, Trey Murphy's a good one. You got to sit down and like think of the teams who are crumbling, but I think it's Carson. It's like package those defense first wings, a Jeremy or a Shaedon, add a
Yeah.
pick, upgrade a player right there, I think is where I'm at. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, moving things around because I was getting
New
so
angle.
annoyed with the camera moving so much again.
You're good. You're centered enough. But again, thank you for the $20, Carson. You're the man.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Um, sorry, I'm also I'm doing the same thing I always do, where I'm very far back in the chat.
Yeah, I know.
It's one of my
Trying
favorite
to
things to
catch up.
do.
We're trying. We want to read everything, but you guys are too awesome and saying too much. So we'll just try our
Yeah,
best
everyone's been just
to keep
incredible.
going through it. Um,
Um,
let's see.
but yeah, Trey Murphy still is my guy. It's we and also again, what I would love to add to this team more than anything is Damian Lillard. I'll say that every single video after every single game. That what I would like to add more than anything is Damian Lillard, because what we missed more than anything in the second half is a guy who can just kind of slow things down, score in the half court,
Yeah,
and keep things kind of under control.
yeah.
Like that's really what we miss, is a ball handler who can shoot the ball off the dribble.
He's the I tweeted it out. He embodies the exact type of player we need in a game like this. A guy who can just go create and get a bucket from outside of the key in a moment
Exactly.
like this. Because Wemby, so much of Denny's game, so much of Shaden's game is getting to the hoop. Even a lot of Drew's game is like kind of
Yep.
getting into that like top of the key area that Wemby still can just swallow up. So just Dame is really the perfect player to put into this. I think we could still use one other guy on top
Of
of
course.
that who can create from a while, or at least a more reliable spot up shooter who can play solid defense. That way you can. I think what I would love is, and I think we were kind of hoping Veet was this on like a buy low candidate, but I think what I would love is like a parallel to Tumani, Tumani's a great defender who can sometimes shoot. I would love to find someone who's a great shooter who can sometimes defend well.
Yeah,
You
wouldn't
know
that
what
be
I mean?
nice?
So then it's like, okay, do we want to up our defense or up our offense? We can do that without it being maybe Veet, who maybe has some, I guess, defensive limitations. I kind of forget all my thoughts on Veet, really, because it's been so long since we've seen him.
Exactly.
And he hasn't been shooting well. But yeah, those are the things we need. And Dame, I guess, Dame brings a lot of it. So
Yeah. And that's the reminder I'm going to bring to the fans of the team after every game, is that it's easy to get down on the team very quickly, but when the thing that we need so glaringly is could even potentially play the next game, given some hints that he and the team is kind of dropping.
nah,
I actually gave this take last night, as I thought that if we lost tonight, we might see Dame this series. Because I mean, dude, if he's not like at least thinking about playing, he's got to cool it. He's
yeah,
got to stop with these endless videos, tweets, Instagram stories that are heavily implying him playing. It's like, I don't know if he just likes playing games with us. I think he
yeah,
kind of does, which is hilarious. But I thought that, if we won this game, I don't think he would want to mess up what is
rock the
potentially
boat.
working.
Yeah,
But if we lost it, I thought, dude, I could kind of see him, because Dame loves
he wants to be the
a
man.
good
He wants to
story,
be in the moment. He wants to, some
which is
sort of
amazing. I
feel
love that
good.
about him.
Yeah,
So I could see that happening potentially. It would be really, really amazing.
yeah.
And sorry, like I said, I'm still going far back in the chat. I'm gonna
Yeah,
run through some of these
Asher
comments
gave
a
you
little
Asher
quicker.
gave $2 more and then said bye, so he might be out now.
Dude,
But
that is
you're gonna have to go.
unbelievable.
You're gonna have to go hunt him down to give him a $5
To
bill
give him
back.
his money
And then
back.
Blazers
That
in
is
6 with $2 as well. Love you, Blazers.
Thank
in 6.
you.
Appreciate all you guys coming in here again. If you could, if you have a spare moment and could drop a like on this stream for us, we'd really appreciate it. That helps open it up to some more people. But
Yeah,
the
for sure.
comments
That's
and the
awesome.
participation is awesome.
More than enough.
More than enough. You don't have to. You don't even have
Yeah.
to like. You know what? Just don't dislike.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't exactly. People are talking about how do we consistently leave guys open for three as well. And again, I put that to us trying to play a more hyperactive type of defense, which I think is meant to kind of give us some momentum, kind of create some chaos. I again don't think that works well for us. I understand why we were trying to do that, because we were so clearly losing momentum, losing any energy in the game.
Yeah.
So I get that. However, I don't think that works. I think it works best when we try to just simplify things because when you play with more chaos, sure, it allows for more opportunities to get steals, but also allows for more space to be created because you're moving so much. And that's kind of been how we play defense the entire year. I mean, we lead the league in miles traveled defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
we
running
move more
around.
on defense than anyone,
Yeah.
which is a little frustrating because it feels at times like that we're the best when we keep things still.
Yeah.
But and I think tonight kind of showed that. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Do you think if, and you guys can answer this as well, like if the roles were flipped in this series and we were the team that was like favored heavily, like minus 1,300 to win the series, and we dropped one game, but then we won the next two, kind of in these fashion, would we go into Spurs chats and be like Blazers in 5, like y'all suck, Scoot's terrible, or I like to imagine that Blazer fans would stay in our own boxes and celebrate the good things, but I feel like I've been seeing a lot of Spurs fans just on Twitter.
Well, that's
And
what's so funny about it, dude. Is like they think like, and I get like, haha, you guys won. Like you want to talk shit, blah 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 blah. But like you're not gonna get us. Like we're not a fan base that's gonna be like, what? No. It's like, haha,
well,
you like you
yeah.
guys stunk tonight. Are you reading the chat? Everyone's talking about how much we stunk.
Yeah,
We are
we
not
think we're suck
delusional.
worse than the Spurs fans do, but
Exactly. We're more down on this team right now than you guys are. We
yeah,
are a depressed fan base when
yeah,
things don't go well. You can't get us. We're the wrong fan base to try to do that with.
yeah,
There's a lot of fan bases like go do that to the Lakers or something.
yeah.
It's not.
The
We're
Lakers
not
will
the
fight
team to
back
do
with
that.
you. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also like
One second. I'm gonna quickly move my
sure.
camera really quick, but keep talking.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine I would just, if I was a Spurs fan, I would go back into Spurs chats and channels and just be like, wow, look at all these talented players we have. How did we get so lucky in the draft and land all of them? But that's just me. I don't know how it feels because we've never been the true overwhelming favorite in that regard. So I can't really tell you what it's like. But I like to imagine I'd be a little bit just more happy with what I've got going on rather than barking at other people. Alex,
But also,
yeah, go ahead.
no, this is don't worry, I'm not gonna defend Spurs fans at all. But we should acknowledge a little bit that the game did become a little bit embarrassing in that fourth quarter,
Yeah, the Denny.
and
What did
that's what I
you? The
hate.
Denny interaction was. I get trying to be like, you're not backing down in the moment and not letting him put the ball on you, but I think it was an over escalation of the situation for sure. Like you can kind of get back in his face and bark at him, but being the one to shove first, I don't think is a good look there.
It's a lose-lose situation because I like that Denny defended himself. However, dude, the fact that we're in a situation where they can absolutely punk us
Yeah,
is embarrassing.
yeah,
Because if that was the other way around and we just came back from 17 down and we kind of like talked a little shit and put the ball in the other team's chest, that's awesome. What
yeah,
sucks is that we were in the position to get embarrassed like that.
yeah,
Because you can't just, if you're Denny, you can't not respond.
yeah,
That's equally embarrassing. But what sucks is that we're in the position to be embarrassed, which we were. They were in a position for them to punk us, and they did. And it's like it's either we fight back, which is cool, or we ignore it, which is also cool. It's like, but either way, it sucks because we were put in the position to get absolutely, you know, wrecked by the other team. That's what was a bummer. Because I was watching that, I wasn't cheering Denny on during that. I was like, this sucks.
yeah.
This is embarrassing. I like these fighting back, I guess, but it's an embarrassing moment to be in that situation. And also HB said this in the chat. This is a good way to put it. It's like Clingan is big AF for no reason. That's how it feels right now, dude. You see a guy like Wemby, who's what, an inch taller, and obviously he's the most mobile big in the history of the league. However, it's disappointing to see Clingan just use his size so little. I mean, you have not felt him and felt his presence in any way possible.
He-
I wish still Thiago gave him a little more opportunity to do that because he hasn't been good, but I don't think he's been as like benchable
yeah,
as I think Thiago thinks he has. I think he's been like a C minus,
yeah.
and I think Thiago kind of thinks he's been like like an
F.
F.
Yeah. He did try
uh,
he did try a couple times in the first quarter, and I was okay with all of these attempts to back down Wemby to get into him and to try and win down low. And they didn't work out, but those are attempts by Clingan that aren't going to turn into transition buckets for them, and we're going to be able to get set on that type of stuff. And it's those that like you just want to see it. Like if Klingan's gonna be this big and like heavy, then he should try to use that down low against Wemby rather than space the floor. I just want Klingan to look more like that final UConn season where he looked so much slimmer. Like I feel like Shaedon and Clingan should just go to Dame's house and work out, like fitness, get stronger and more fit all season long. Don't worry about basketball. Don't worry about shooting. Just go get like more in shape.
Well, that's an underrated thing about Donovan that people don't talk about enough is that he's not very, for as big as he is, and for a guy who's pretty heavy, dude, he's not that strong.
Yeah.
He he gets pushed around by guards pretty frequently, and I don't know if that's because that's more of a balance thing, because obviously you're 7'3", 300 pounds, like you have to have some strength, but he's got to at least figure out his stability so he isn't being able to be pushed around enough, or add some muscle to make it so he can't be pushed around enough. Because what's so odd about this offseason is that, or last offseason, is that he came back, everyone's expecting him to kind of cut weight to have like a little more mobility, but he was like, no, I gained weight this offseason. That was the goal. He's like, I wanted to get bigger. And I still think the jury's out on if that was a good or bad thing. I don't know if that's the reason he's not playing great.
Yeah.
But I think Clingan's had an underratedly up and down season. Like he's a second-year player, so you rightfully should think about the good times more.
Right.
Because it's when you're seeing such huge moments and huge improvements in certain areas, like those deserve more acknowledgement, especially when he's doing things that we didn't think he was ever going to be able to do. However, dude, I mean, it's been about a third of the time he's unplayable. I mean, it's just constantly like so many games in the regular season and now every game in the playoffs where it's like he's been basically taken off the floor because he's just not a guy who's able to play right now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things he needs to work on to do that. I don't know if the answer is slimming down so he's more mobile. I don't know if it's gaining muscle so he can't be pushed around enough. I could weirdly go either way. He knows, and the training staff and the coaches know better. I'm going to trust that. I'm going to trust Donovan more than anyone. I think probably the most competitive guy on the team. We've been seeing that since college, so I know he's going to do the right things. I'm excited to see what those right things are because I'm not quite sure yet watching from home. But I have no doubt that he's going to. It's just that at this point in time, like the guy said, either the lights are too bright for him or he's just not physically or mentally ready for this moment yet.
Yeah. Mox gave us 50. I just looked this up. He gave us 50 Philippine pesos, I think is what that is. And which is awesome. So thank you, Mox.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he said I miss our goat Dame, and I think we're in the
I miss our goat
same
Dame
boat.
too.
A couple of Dames that are like Sabir says. Is it crazy to say we don't need anyone else as long as Dame comes back to all-star level in a summer of growth for the team? Shea stronger, Clingan more offense, Denny left hand, more creative offense. I think that's the thing. Like I know it sucks that we got punked in the second half. And it sucks there's so many things we can point to with like every player as a problem, but I think that's another thing that's in Tiago's boat is like, taking momentum away from this team right now feels like it could be a real like problem for it. And I think this team playing like you have to also understand like a lot of these players that are playing right now in the playoffs didn't play much together this season because they were all hurt at different times. Like Scoot didn't play with many of these guys. Drew hasn't played with Scoot. Scoot hasn't played with Shaedon. I think that's pretty much it. Scoot was out for a big time, but so just like consistency, add Dame in, one or two moves to make a slight upgrade if we want to cash in on a pick, because I think the Bucks picks. I would like to trade one of the Bucks picks so we're not completely locked into their future because the fact that
I agree.
I think Giannis is going to sign an extension there with Taylor Jenkins coming in.
Agreed.
So either use some of those picks to help move Giannis and capitalize, but yeah, I mean it's doing nothing for this team is a viable option to getting better. And I think that's a good place to be. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not the best thing. Maybe we do need to make upgrades. And we'll kind of find that out as next season goes along. But if this team did nothing and just added Dame next year, I would be like, okay, we're in a good spot, And I think it's weird that we came into the series like everything's house money. We have nothing to lose going on. And now I feel like the way we blew these last two games. Like I feel morbid basically because I feel so broken about the situation and the opportunity we have. Because we haven't talked about this at all, but the Nuggets and the Timberwolves after this are both completely melting down in opposite ways. So the path to the Western Conference Finals was like in our grasp for in the middle of the third quarter of Game 3, and then now we're here. So that's why it feels like a bummer. But you got to understand that we got to all just remind ourselves that getting the 7th seed was the win of the season in its own right.
And also remind everyone that it's most people were expecting us to get swept. I would say most. Do you think that's right? I'd say
I think five was the like I'll give Blazers a game. Like I'll be nice, right? If you said 6, I think people were like, all right, like come on, get out of here. And like we showed that like 6 was not. It's not an unreasonable thing. It's not like we were it's not like we're the Suns who are just getting kind of stiff-armed.
And I also want to remind that, blowing leads makes it feel worse than if we never had a lead to blow, but it is better that we had a lead to blow. It just hurts more when you lose it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes everything feel so much worse because we could have won. It would almost feel better if we didn't have that lead to begin with. But I swear we're almost getting hurt by these good starts.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, like, dude, there's a reason why you rarely see 20-point leads at halftime become 40-point leads.
Yeah.
Because the other team it's a better position to be in to have adjustments to make when both teams are inexperienced. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's why, again, I already said this, it's why we were able to come back against them in Game 2. It's like, because we're both inexperienced teams.
It's why we pushed a couple times in Game 1. Like,
exactly.
We couldn't pull it off. I think we're just,
and like people
we
were
just
saying,
shoot, but yeah.
People were saying this in the chat, it's like, we don't lack talent, we lack consistency. I agree to an extent. I don't think we have the talent right now to win the series exactly, but we clearly have the talent to be up 3-1 right now.
Yeah.
We in a very realistic scenario could be up 3-1 right now. And it just makes it feels like we should blow things up or we need to make a lot of changes because those blown leads hurt so much. But it's overall a positive thing. I think once the series is over, we're going to be able to look back and be like, okay, we have the ability, we have the talent, we have the coaching to build leads against, the second best team arguably in the entire NBA in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But again, I think what feels so frustrating is in this matchup that, you can blame the lack of experience and everything, but we're playing a team that also lacks in experience. It's just that both teams are showing their lack of experience in times that is more beneficial for San Antonio.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's easy to feel like we don't have much talent when you're looking at a team like San Antonio that is just oozing with talent. And it's just the problem really, I think, is not as much our play. I think the problem is just like how far every team in the NBA has to go to get to the Spurs and Thunder's level over these next few years.
Yeah.
I think that's it really, I think I truly think like this is what like a national, NBA fan, like someone who's not affiliated with the Spurs or Blazers at all, would think. They would look at the series and go like, Portland's good, the Spurs are a problem. And that's the headline to take away, is that the Spurs can turn it on, and they did, and we're just a step behind. So
sure.
It's probably less about it's way more, and we're in a Blazers chat on a Blazers channel, right? It's way less about us than I think we probably are making it out to be, but that doesn't mean that we're not still far away from where the Spurs are. I like
exactly.
I like Seamus's comment. He said, "Force feed Shea chicken breast and mac and cheese, then lock him in a weight room all off season." Maple Jordan too.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's why I always say I will not give up on
Shaedon
Shaedon until it's obvious that he's not going to get bigger. Because everything I see that's a problem in this game is a lack of, obviously, like a lack of experience in terms of missing some of these defensive rotations that he's owning up to. I don't think are a lack of effort. I haven't seen a lack of effort from him this series. But we've said this all year that people blame the effort a lot. I blame the lack of physical stature, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I love that comment, because I absolutely agree. If he could easily come out, put 10 pounds, 15 pounds of muscle this season, and come out next season and be an all-star.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
Yeah. Mock said, "Would you trade Clingan for Bam?" Just asking. I think
Uh,
think I would,
damn.
but I think
Yeah, I
we would
mean,
have it would have to be like Clingan and Jeremy and some picks for Bam if they were wanting to blow it up. They have Khalil Ware as well though, so
that is such a good question. Yeah, I would do that.
I would do that.
Bam's a
Bam would be awesome.
Bam's a great player, and he's such a guarantee. He's an all-star. He's a Team USA player. He's a guy who dropped
Dame's
83
boy, yeah,
points.
he dropped it.
Dame's boy, yeah. I would get Bam. I would trade Klingon for Bam.
I would
I
trade a
would.
lot. I would trade a lot of stuff for Bam if that was
Exactly. And that's
possible.
not a knock
So
on
I agree.
Klingon. Bam's one of the better players in the
Yeah,
NBA.
yeah. Clingan's offense is like buying a Ford F-350 on 37s to go get groceries. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's good. Yeah, looking back at some of these older comments, I'm still catching up on. Yeah, we have too many offensive liabilities. I don't think Tumani Ortiz ever worked on offensive drills. Yeah, we're seeing a lot, especially from Tumani, how one-dimensional of an offensive player he is. It's why I've always been kind of pushed back a little bit on like, oh, all Tumani has to do is just hit threes.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in the playoffs, you got to be
You
more
gotta have
dynamic than
other
that.
things. Yeah.
You got to have other things. I think this series is showing this.
Yeah.
And Sabir said this. Why are we so bad at shooting? Because like Drew, Jeremy, Tumani, Scoot are all decent to good shooters. I agree with that. That's what's so strange about this team. They're all good shooters on paper. I agree with that. But they're guys who could shoot 40% over a 10-game period.
And
And
like
half of those
12.
games they shot 80%, and half of
Yeah.
those games they shot 0.
Yeah.
It's like you get a lot of hot and cold with those guys. So they're guys that average out to pretty solid shooting, but they're not guys that are. And even Drew has never been a consistent shooter.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, look at his shooting stats when he was playing with Milwaukee in the playoffs. Yeah, he was a guy who played like this a lot. A guy who kind of gave up a lot of turnovers off the ball. A guy who could get really streaky with his shooting. A guy I know that he's the veteran leader of this team. I don't blame this loss solely on him at all because he had such a great first half, and he played so well the last game too. But it was these guys still lack some consistency.
For sure. I think across the board. Theo RB brings up, he goes, the new ownership, they said a couple things. Said, do we actually think Dame fixes this garbage effort? I think the effort was fine. I think it was just a mental thing in the
Agreed.
second half. Shaedon and Clingan were not ready for playoff basketball. I think I agree with that. But then he also says, and the new ownership is all in on Young Hansen. Let me ask you this. Do you think the theoretical, because Hansen's a far away from being, I think, good or productive, but is the theoretical what Hansen can be a center with post play who can dish the ball out and kind of orchestrate an offense? Is that exactly what we could use right now?
No, Hansen at his best
Let me, but
is
I want you
not what
to,
we need right now.
okay, but I want you to think of it more like, not like Hansen, like what he could do in theory, not like what he is right now. Is that clear what I'm asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Him at his like theoretical best is not what the team needs right now.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean? It's like I don't think he's at if everything works out for Hansen, it's like he's not a guy who's going to be able to guard. They actually Alex said this like lob after lob after lob if
Yeah.
Hansen's in this game. That's going to be something that's
defense.
true no matter how good he ends up being. And
It's
I
good.
like Hansen. I'm a Hansen believer. But also when people talk about because they're right when they say that the front office is a huge believer in Hansen.
Yeah.
But when you hear them talk about him, they talk about his like financial potential.
Right.
Like they talk about like, oh, we want
What-
to have like the #1 jersey in China.
Yeah.
Like,
what
that's the kind of stuff they
Chung's
talk-
in on, why Chung's a part of this. Andrew Chung's a part of this.
Exactly. And it's like that's the stuff that they're really into, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Because dude, if in a world where we drafted Coward or we did draft Coward or traded him, but or even Bryant, Coward is kind of the perfect guy that would be good on this current team.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't a knock on Hansen. It's a knock on the front office for not getting someone who our deficiencies going into the draft were obvious. They were obvious, and they're the same
Yeah.
ones that we have right now. We need some more shooting.
Yeah.
And That's getting Hansen is we said this all year. It's been tough not just for the team, but it's tough for Hansen because he deserves to be on a team that could utilize his skill set or needs his potential future skill set in a better way.
Yeah.
Because even if everything works out for Hansen, because I think we can say right now, an idea if everything works out perfectly, Hansen's a 14, 8, and 4 guy. Would you agree
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah.
I think it's unrealistic at this point to say he's going to be Jokic level because
Sure.
of how rough of a rookie year he had. But he 14, 8, and 4, like a Marc Gasol light would
Yeah.
be a great player to have,
Yeah.
especially if Rob's getting older. Being able to split minutes with Clingan would be great. But no, a theoretical Hansen is not what we need, and it's a
I j-
bummer that the front office has put him and the team in a position to that we're kind of need to bank on him when he's not exactly what the team
yeah.
needs.
And I guess I say that because like I just feel like some more ball movement, some more creativity on offense because it's just so ISO heavy right now where it's like,
Yeah,
and that's kind of by choice. So maybe the solution here is just, like some better coaching rather than putting in a player who is commanding the offense himself. But I do feel like some interior presence like that we're hoping Clingan can provide, but he can't. To kind of draw in some defenders rather than just drive kick like Denny does. Like that could be helpful, and some just more passing for like people off ball cutting, someone who can deliver those things because we don't seem to ever try and do any of that. So I don't know. I think of it like I guess his creativity on offense would be nice, but I agree his defense is defense is what makes this team better. We saw that in the first half,
yep,
and he
absolutely.
would not be carrying on that side of the floor. So
And going back to some other comments from earlier, like Connor was talking about Denny. He said the problem with the turnover is that he gives up stupid fouls. We need a guy like Dame to come back and take responsibility of the ball. I completely agree with that. And also with Dame coming back, like we said, it would allow for Denny to have less people collapsing on him. Like PDX Born said, he played well, but they collapsed on him and tried to take away the right hand. We don't really give them much reason to not collapse on him. You know what I mean? And Dame would not just be someone who can take care better of the ball, but his presence on the team or any shooter's presence on the team would allow for Denny to not have to force so many passes that he shouldn't have to force.
yeah,
So yeah, Dame is just a perfect
fit.
kind of guy that could be on this team.
Perfect fit.
Um, but yeah. So I'm still reading some of these comments really far back. But yeah, Scoot was invisible. I'm glad everyone kind of agrees with that. It's nice that Scoot. This is, I mean, the bare minimum of a compliment. But in the past, when he plays bad, it actively hurts the team. I like at least he sucked in a way that was quiet.
Yeah, he just kind of stood there and didn't really do a lot. He had another one of those plays where he came out of nowhere and tried to like pick up someone else's guy. I think it was like Rob was on Fox in the corner. Um, and he tried. I think it led to like a Champagne three in that third quarter. But he Rob was on him in kind of like a breakaway situation, and Scoot just came out of nowhere and was like, "All right, I'm guarding Fox now." And then Rob's like, "Oh, what?" And then all of a sudden, there's an open 3-point shooter, and then Champagne hits it and brings a lead to like 5. So
Yeah,
I thought it was a
exactly.
couple of those again
Yeah,
where it's like he just didn't look like he was in the right headspace. It really
yeah,
looked like that end of third quarter from game 3 with the whole Harper thing actually got to him. And he'll
for
have an
sure.
offseason to shake it off, but we'll see if he can shake it off for the next game.
And Sesame Colossus brought this up earlier too. That and this is kind of something that bothered me too in the second half is that it wasn't just that we look in experience. We kind of lack hustle and energy when we grow big lead.
For
It's like
sure.
we
For
we
sure.
came out of the second half and it feels like we're protecting the lead and not trying to grow it. Because then I think that's the issue. And maybe that's a Tiago problem. It very easily could be. Because what's cool is if you always are trying to grow the lead, even if the other team plays better than you, it gives you a bigger chance of holding that lead. Because if you're protecting it and the other team is playing the best basketball of their life, because the point of growing a big lead is that even if the other team plays a lot better than you, which they should in the second half if they make proper adjustments, but it gives you a bigger chance. That's why you should never in the playoffs play to protect a lead. You
Yeah.
got to come out with the hustle that you showed in the first half. It's been frustrating to see us come out in second halves after building leads and look like we're trying to play differently than we did uh, in the first half that created that lead.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, we've had games where it feels like we do a bad job of clock management, but it felt like we started the second half trying to do clock management, which is a terrible idea when there's 24 minutes left of gameplay.
for sure. I go a little back and forth because it's like I don't think when you're in that position, and this was more so the case when we were blowing our lead in the towards the end of the third quarter, like you said, like we just got like hammered right off the bat to start the second half. Um, I think you can slow things down and try to search for a good shot a little bit more, but it's like you were talking about earlier. It felt like it felt like transition was such a big thing in the
Yep.
first half and getting scores off of stops. But when we got a stop in this one, we just slowed the ball, picked it back up, and then just tried to run something in the half court for the sake of slowing it down. So like I don't mind I don't mind trying to search a little bit longer for a good shot when you're up 17, but what I do mind is intentionally slowing it down, and that is what it looked like we did in that to start that second half for sure.
And Samir said this earlier. Is I feel like Clingan has potential, though. I will say this. I think Clingan has arguably the most potential on the team. I think in a best case scenario, Clingan is a guy who is competing with Wemby for Defensive Player of the Year. And that's been my biggest knock on Clingan this year is that I felt like, the wow factor from him a lot of the time has come with the rebounding, which is, an underrated defensive thing, but even though he's, mostly been dominant on the offensive glass. The three-point shooting's been nice. The finishing around the rim has been better, even if we haven't seen either of those things in the playoffs so far. But the most frustrating thing is like, dude, compare Wemby to Clingan defensively this series. It's like we're focusing on the offense, Clingan's because he's been invisible on offense.
Yeah.
Clingan, I mean.
Yeah.
But dude, he is completely outmatched defensively, and that's the most disappointing thing. Because Clingan had the best. I think he had the best defensive college season I've ever seen in my life
Yeah.
at UConn. And then last season, I thought had maybe the best rookie big defensive season since Wemby.
Since Wemby, yeah.
And this season he's been at times look like he's almost unplayable at times defensively. I hate that he hasn't made his presence known. Going back to that comment by I actually can't remember who said it now, but we said like he's big for no reason. That's how it feels. Like he's not using his size defensively. The offense has been disappointing, but the fact that he hasn't gone even close to toe-to-toe with Wemby defensively is very disappointing.
Yeah. It's weird that like the one where Wemby Drew got in the paint and we kind of went for a pump fake and then Wemby bid on it, but Drew passed it to Rob and then Wemby turns in one motion, goes straight up and blocks Rob. Like that's an incredible defensive play, but you should see Clingan do some of that type of stuff where he can swallow up two guys at once. And it feels like Clingan, instead of that, gets beat by guys driving like Stephon Castle or Fox when they get in that middle of the key and it's just one pump fake and he's biting and then the lob is either wide open or like it feels like he can't cover either at the same time.
What also feels like, again, when we're doing so much defensively, we're trying to move so much and cover so much ground, it allows for a lot of potential space to be created. So I also see from Clingan him having to do way more than he should defensively.
Yeah.
And that exposes some of his deficiencies because, he's not fast enough to move that much in space. When we play a simpler, slower paced defense, I'm all for us playing fast on offense, but I want us to grind the other team to a halt defensively. We said this all season, that being the most high-paced defensive team and also trying to be a high-paced offensive team is not something that's going to last very long just because of how tired guys will get. And especially because, not to give Chauncey any credit, I refuse to do that. But last season, our defense in the second half of the season was one of the most simple, slow-paced defenses, and it worked beautifully. We had the second best defense in the league in the second half of last season. But that was a year ago now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't look at that anymore as proof of anything because it was a year ago. We have to see it now. And that's why, I started this stream by saying I don't blame Thiago for that loss, and I would like some reasons for why people should blame Thiago. I also think I'm right now in the mindset that I know Thiago's the best coaching option that we have, given how what we're hearing from Dundon, that I am trying to give him as much of a benefit of the doubt and believe in him as much as possible. However, the more we talk about this, the more, there are things that Thiago needs to do better, and I think we'll do better because I think he's, like we've said, he's been as good given the situation he's been handled. I'm excited to see what he can think of coming back next season because I also want to remind everyone this is not a series that we're expecting to win. It sucks that we've blown games this way, but I'm gonna like I said, I hope that we can look back on the series and be more happy that we were able to have huge leads against this team, more so than the fact that we blew them.
Yeah.
It's better than that than being down 20 the majority of every game.
Yeah. Yeah. We got some more super chats, but Blazers in 6 with $2, and Asher came back with $1 again. Asher's in and out.
That's absolutely
he's tantalizing you. Blazers in 6.
I know,
So
that's
thank
crazy.
you, Asher, for hanging out. Continue to come back.
Yeah, that's
Appreciate all
awesome.
you guys. Blazers in 6, you've been awesome as well. All these streams, you've been hanging out with us every time. He said, overall, what would you rate this season? I got an A-. I think.
Well, dude, I'm gonna say this: the season is not over. I don't, and I'm not saying we're gonna win the series. However, dude, we still have another game, and we feel how. I also want to remind everyone that remember how huge and how good we felt after game 2. The thing with the playoffs is every game is so monumental.
Yeah.
It's really easy and understandable because, these are the games where you want to see the teams play at their best. They deserve a huge reaction. But a win when do we play next? Tuesday?
I think Tuesday.
Yeah. A win on Tuesday, we're going to be on this stream potentially talking about how awesome we are, how we're ahead of where we expected, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying I'm saying be critical of what just happened, be realistic about what just happened, but understand that that's not the final product of this season yet. I still think we could easily come back and win the next game. It's the most Blazer thing that could happen. We're not a team that's going to win anything the easy way.
Yeah.
Like we said, in game 1 and game 2, we played better when we were down.
Yeah.
Like I've said a million times this stream, is that's what inexperienced teams, they kind of do better when they're down than they are with leads. We don't know how to handle a big lead yet. You're worried about playing a team that is experienced and has a big lead. Those are the guys that can keep them. We're not that yet. So we have to see that, it's a positive. We're able to get these leads and that the series is not over yet. So as of right now, they said A-. It's such a tough question.
Yeah.
Because we won 42 games and we're competing in the first round of the playoffs. However, there's so many things that we wish we can improve on.
Yeah.
But the things that we can improve on feel incredibly tangible to me, both in terms of the guys we already have and the guys that we could potentially get. Dame's coming back. Donovan's a second-year player. Tumani's a third-year player. There's all these things that you're expecting guys to improve on, and we also have guys coming in who are going to make them better. So as of right now, I'd say B+.
I think that's what I was going to say, is a B+.
Because the lack of defense consistently has been something that we should be better at right now.
Yeah. It feels like, if you count the injuries, which it's hard to, take injury. When you're grading an entire season, I think it's hard to take injuries fully into account as, that was adversity we just had to overcome. Because you don't want guys who are, susceptible to getting hurt a lot. And I think that's kind of what we have in Jeremy and Drew, Shaedon to an extent, Scoot to an extent. We just have guys that kind of get banged up. So given the injuries, it's pretty incredible that we have 42 wins. But when you're counting into the whole season, we got 42 wins, but 10 of the teams in the league were trying to lose. And that is something you got to think about to a degree. I know we talk about all the time, every game matters in the NBA. Everyone's trying to win, but it felt like a little bit less so this year than most. So I think it was a great regular season. It's cool that we're in this spot. And I think the biggest shine is in the big games down the stretch we needed to win to elevate ourselves from, top of the bottom of the pack to top of the middle of the pack. I think we've done that. And I think that's why B+, A-, I won't argue with at all. I think that's why those are good grades given where we were. I think a lot of people thought we would have just fallen into that boat of the tanking teams and been the 11th, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, I think to your point, like the way we got there was like kind of like Caleb Love random hero ball games and
sure.
jacking up a lot of threes to try and gimmick our way into a couple of wins, and we didn't have much of an identity. But I think the player growth has been good overall, and I just hope that maybe a season where we are healthy can turn a B plus season into an A season next year, where we really kind of lock ourselves into like 50 something wins, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and those gimmick wins, like I think we need to give Thiago more credit for making those gimmick wins happen because that's what you need to. How's my lighting? Does it look really dark?
It's got darker.
Yeah, I don't know
the light
why my
behind it.
light's still on.
It's
Ugh.
still fine.
Okay, sweet. Um, because he found a way to win games when we were not healthy. Because it's easy to criticize those kind of gimmicky wins, but we had to do that because we were completely unhealthy.
Yeah.
And as we've gotten healthy, we've seen that this team does have a lot of potential to it.
Yeah.
And I also want to remind everyone again, I've said this at the beginning, that this is the first time Thiago all year has had a healthy team.
Yeah.
We have had to figure out what the best lineups are for this team at the start of the playoffs. We are healthy for the first time in the play-in game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that we're competitive, the fact that we're building leads, despite that's another testament to Thiago that he's able to make those things happen. Going back to some of the earlier things in the chat, PX Born said this a while ago, but he doesn't think just adding Dame will fix everything. Another trade has to happen this summer. I completely agree with that. I think we're Dame and one trade away from being a very, very legit team.
Yeah.
And it's cool about Dame coming back is that that makes it so that trade doesn't have to be Giannis. If it's Giannis, that's awesome. That's sick. But it really does not have to be. It can be someone on a lower level like Trey Murphy.
Yeah.
I kind of like what where was this? I can't find the comment anymore. But one guy was saying
Conrad brings up the a potential cat trade where we facilitate Giannis to New York, and we have. I mean, Conrad, if you want to hear a full breakdown on that from us, we have a full video up on that. Brad's a big. Maybe things have changed since the trade deadline, but Brad's a big cat would fix a lot of our problems.
I feel like I'm going insane when I see the discourse around Cat. I feel like he's really been kind of stereotyped as a certain type of player.
Well,
then every time I watch him, he's the man.
Yeah.
So I don't get what I'm missing.
I
would
think
love
it's the
to be like,
it's,
oh, he's
if we're talking about inconsistencies and like
sure
finding a player that can rise up to the occasion every single night. That I think is a problem that Knicks fans are having with Cat, where it's like one quarter he'll look incredible, and the next quarter he'll foul 3 times and completely take himself out of the game. So I think the great part about Cat in theory, like you're saying, Conrad, is awesome for us. He's just, would you add another player like that who can who doesn't have the consistency from game to game? Whereas, we've been talking all stream, like we have a lot of players on this team who are either flawed fundamentally or don't show up the same from game to game. So one more of those would be it could be a really gnarly storm to have for the Blazers. But I do agree on paper he would be a cool 4 to put with Clingan.
Yeah, I feel like his inconsistencies also kind of get magnified too much. Like you hear that and you look at how he played and he had a 20-point triple-double.
Yeah.
Last night. You know what I mean? Obviously people aren't talking about last night, but or even the game before that which they lost, he had 21-17.
Yeah.
And then everyone talks like, man, Cat was terrible. It's like, what game am I watching? I feel like if you're a big who gets boxed in as being soft, it's incredibly difficult to break out of that label.
Sure.
But I think Cat would be perfect for this team. And like you said, it makes a lot of sense in a Giannis trade to New York. It'd be a win-win for both teams. I would really like Cat, and I feel like Blazers, and I'm I'm guilty of this as well, where I worry too much about the potential negatives when it's probably a better idea to go for the potential positives rather than nothing at all. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to make this risk because this bad thing could happen, even though the good that will happen, even
Yeah.
if the bad happens as well, the good is better than what we have right now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I know that
Yeah.
was kind of wordy,
No,
but
no,
I hope that made
I get what
sense.
you're saying.
And, Blazers in six asked us earlier if we think that Dundon will blow the team up. It's an interesting question because going into the playoffs, I think a lot of the people, especially media, were talking about how, there's like four guys who they can say with certainty are going to be on the team next season. I would think after this playoff series, there's a few more guys that you'd think we wouldn't want to trade.
hmm
Scoot being one of them. We said after like the last game, like, oh, there's no way we can trade Scoot. However, this is proof of how magnified each playoff game is. Because now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe we should trade Scoot. You just went 0-7. But it shows how tricky the playoffs are and how easy it is to be reactive. But will Dundon blow up the team? I think there's a lesser chance right now than it was going into the playoffs. However, I don't know what to expect from this guy.
Yeah. It could be anything.
And also, it's how much power really is in the owner's hands. Because I don't even know how much Dundon wants to be involved in trades. I was watching the Jailblazers documentary last night,
hmm
and you're reminded like when we had Bob Whitsitt as our GM, he basically did everything. Paul Allen was like, "Spit, here is all my money. You do what is best for the team," which I love
So
that
much so that
kind
he
of owner.
wanted him to double down and do the same thing for the Seahawks. He was like, "Can you run
I know,
both
I
of my
remember
teams
that
at
too.
once?"
Isn't that crazy?
That's
Bob
wild.
Whitsitt was at one point like the most powerful man in the all of sports in the
And the P
Pacific
and W,
Northwest.
yeah, he held all the power.
But if I had to guess right now, well, it's so strange that a guy like Dundon, who's so obviously cheap, is also so apparently aggressive in trade markets.
Yeah,
It's really tough to say.
I think. Yeah,
I think Dundon is going to be in for a rude awakening when he realizes how hard it is to just strong arm people.
yeah. I think that Dundon's gonna be in for a bit of a rude awakening when he finds out how little moves you can actually make in the NBA. Because I think my understanding of what he's done with the Hurricanes is he has bought low on distressed assets. So I think what's the case is that the Hurricanes had a really good offense. They bought on the margins a ton. Dundon was like, I don't like this slow paced team. I want a fast paced team who can score a lot. And in hockey,
Hmm.
the roster's so deep and so many guys play that like it's so much easier to make a bunch of small moves on the margins to reshape a team. Whereas in the
Yeah.
NBA, it's like, you know, you can't just go. I guess we could swap out our role player. The best case that it would go is like swap out our role players for ones that fit around Denny. But in the NBA, it's so much more star and high end talent driven that like you can't just go out and make moves for the sake of making moves. Like you basically have like one large bullet in the chamber to be like, I'm going all in on this one guy. So I think that's where his awakening will be. But I think what he's done with the Hurricanes, which has been so successful, is their goalie. They had a goalie problem at the end of last year, I think, and
Hmm.
they went and just picked up a guy basically off of waivers, who then turned into a whatever the goal Vazina, I think is the name of the award
Yeah.
MVP goalie guy. So I think that's what Dundon I think is going to do, and I don't Blazers in 6 point. I don't think he's going to blow this team up, but I think he's going to make a ton of moves like that on the margins. I think he's probably going to look at guys like City and Blake and be like, why are we rostering this guy? They're clearly not worth anything. And it's those like role players we love type cuts that he's just going to shuffle the deck on until they work. That's what I
Yeah.
think he'll do.
Yeah, and another thing that I see a lot from fans of the Carolina is that they also really lucked out on their coach.
Really lucked out.
I mean, they have arguably the best coach in all of hockey and he was willing to take a much smaller contract than he is probably deserved to coach that, and he's gotten everyone to buy in on that.
Yeah.
Every one of their fans that I've seen in chats have been like, we kind of got really lucky.
Really lucky.
Not that Dundon doesn't deserve some credit for that. He absolutely does. He's the owner of the team, took over, and now they're, a really, really
One of
solid
the
team.
favorites.
But that came with a lot of luck. But that's true for every single sports team on the planet. And it's why I always um I don't put as much stock into ownership, I think maybe as other people. I think as the only stock I put in are they willing to spend the money? That's it.
Yeah,
Because I kind of think a lot after that, it's hiring the right people and like there's a good amount of luck that's involved.
sure.
And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think as you do the right things, your luck kind of increases. You know what I mean? So that's it's cool that Dundon is, willing hopefully to make big moves, but I think he's going to realize that a lot of stuff in the NBA is harder to do than he might think.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, Blazers in 6 said, guess it's time to change my username because I guess we can't win in 6 now. Blazers in
Blazers in
7.
seven, baby. Yeah, that's right.
um,
PDX Boom asked a couple really good questions I think we should uh,
yeah,
bring up. This one's one I really like talking about because I think it gets really underlooked or overlooked, one of the two. Can Denny add to his game? Is there still another step that Denny can take? I think the most exciting thing about Denny is that he's like a 27, 5-7 guy who has like some really tangible improvements he can make to his game.
yeah.
And a lot of
Get
that
in
will
the
also,
gym and get a shooting machine on to start. Like,
absolutely. And like I said, there's no one on the team that's going to benefit more from Dame coming back and us making upgrades to the roster in other ways with shooters. Because what been able to accomplish with how difficult the task is makes me think that he has true like 27 points on 50%, 38% shooting potential. And if he's able to have a bit of a easier task on offense, this is a guy who actually wants to play defense. I know
yeah,
it hasn't always looked like that this season, but Denny is one of the most capable defenders on this team.
he's a
And
great
if
on
he's
ball
able to,
defender. Great on
yeah, and
ball
he's
defender.
but you kind of got to decide, like, are we going to have this guy carry us on offense and do at like, more than almost anyone in the league has to carry an offense, or do you want him to be like an elite defender? And he's just not in the position to be a true two-way guy. So the big steps he can make is not just in his own game, but the roster construction. It's why I think Denny is far from a finished um,
Product.
product.
To
Thank you.
call him a
Because
product.
he can make so many improvements to his own game, and the roster, if it's constructed well, can bring out the positives in his game so much more. Diddy's going to be a multi-time All NBA player. I truly believe that, and that's going to come much sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah. BRD BRDRDR says what kind of role you want to see added, and I think we talked about that a lot. Just like shooting two-way talent. Sabir brings up a good point. If we added Cat, the cap space would be dead. On the
What is Cat at right now?
it's
Is
like
he
a
at
50.
50?
It's like a 50-something million-dollar player. Like
Yeah,
that's probably a Shaedon.
that is true.
Shaedon and Jeremy for him, but uh, yeah,
I know. I'm guilty of this. I try to ignore a lot of
cap space.
contract
Yeah,
issues. Like in my eyes, I'm like, wait, why don't we just trade this guy who makes 5 million for this guy who makes 100 million? It's like, oh, actually, that's not how it works. Which is weird because I played enough 2K that I should be a master of the salary cap.
Blazers
But
in 6 actually changed their name to Blazers in 7.
oh, that's
We're
beautiful, dude.
back.
You're the
We're
man.
back.
That's so awesome. PDX Boom also asks, and this is another really good question. Would you rather Clingan get a post game or become a better 3-point shooter next season?
Post game.
What's funny is I've been a little surprised with the lack of in all of the playoffs, the lack of usage of maybe I'm just not watching the right games of
Post play.
paint scoring and post moves because
Yeah.
when it slows down like that, what I'm watching, it's like, God damn, dude, we could use someone who could get some easy baskets in the post. But you don't really see a lot of teams utilizing that. But Clingan is so big, and you see how much it works for Wimby, that yeah, I would rather him get a better post game and have us add shooting in other ways. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good question. I think him just something simple, and only for like an extra 4 or 6 points a game. It's not. I'm like not expecting him to like be in bead down there, but him just to be able to get us a couple more easy baskets because we are we lack easy points, and that would be a really easy way to get some easy points. So yeah, I
I
would go with the
think
post
I just
game.
think if he can score down there, keep a center honest, I think that unlocks his ability to pass out of the post too. It feels like right now Clingan just does dribble handoffs and pops out for three, and
Yeah,
like I think he could get better at hitting those threes, but defenses are a lot of some um something people say a lot with 3-point shooting is that 3-point shooting doesn't matter if you don't create gravity. And I think that's
exactly.
completely true with Clingan. That I mean, sure, if I could make Clingan a 40% 3-point shooter, that would be great. But Clingan will never be that if people are actually coming out to defend him, I guess. And so I don't. Clingan would have to be so good for defenses to start running out to Clingan or staying with him as a shooter, and that's what good shooting actually unlocks. None of the players on this team are good enough shooters to create gravity, and that's
Hmm.
the problem we're seeing. You're seeing Tumani knock down his shots sometimes, but defenses still aren't running out to Tumani, and I don't think Clingan will ever get there. Can Clingan, like you said, get 2 buckets with a couple spin moves and a little baby hook? Yeah. And then defenses will have to kind of collapse on that, and then he can kick out to a shooter. That's the easier. Klingon can create a lot more gravity by working in the post than he can from working outside on three.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some of these comments from earlier that Hansen is a better offensive player than Klingan right now. That is such a I'm saying he brought up Klingan shooting numbers in the playoffs so far. I think you guys got to remember what Hansen shot from three this season and
And
shot from the paint.
he might have made.
Hansen
Did
shot
Hansen make
30,
1 3? Like,
I think so. He shot 11.9% on the season and 31% on the court.
yeah,
Currently, on Klingen's worst day, he is better than Hansen offensively.
yeah.
And there's not, that's what's been tough about Hansen is that there's has not been all the stuff that we're hoping to see is still stuff that we saw from before he was in the NBA. Like there was nothing he really offered so far. And if you guys disagree, I'm happy um, to hear the comments otherwise. But he hasn't shown a skill set in the NBA yet. You could argue he hasn't been given enough minutes to do that. But he's played a bunch of games. He made 1 3, I think, the entire season, or maybe like three. Um,
Yeah.
Hansen has a far, far way to go to be a better offensive player than Clingan right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a bummer. It's a bummer that we're just looking for one more good role player, one more good 2-way player, and then we drafted one. It just sucks. It's those types of I obviously this team's in a good spot from like where we started the season, like we showed growth, but it's basically like a decision like that can be what stops you from becoming an elite team. Like you have to just make good decision after good decision, and it's like one bad draft pick like that because you're taking a chance. I think is that's why I when you were talking earlier about like going all in on a star, like because the good, like there could be a lot of bad that comes from it, but you have to take a chance to get the good. It's like I agree with that, but I also think again like I would rather just make good move after good move after good move and just make sure we're slowly getting better and better rather
Sure.
than one. I feel like there's been too many times in the NBA where one big move. You want to make good moves that you hope one turns into a really lucky move, rather than where I feel like the Hansen pick was big swing move, even if it can not work out, and it just wasn't the time to do that.
Yeah, because you also have to ask to your point, it's like when's the last time a really big move worked out as planned? Because
Like
as for example,
Kawhi basically, Kawhi to the
yeah,
Raptors.
because like let's look at the trades that have been done that have garnered like huge returns. It's like Mikal Bridges. Knicks are good, but has that been a resounding success? No.
No,
Desmond Bain is playing really, really well right now. Still a lot to see from
Magic
that, but has
are
it?
salvaging their season, but that was looking like a real. problem about 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. Because the reality is you have to give up a lot. And what's cool about the Giannis situation is it depends on how much the Bucks value their own picks, which I assume they would, which would give us a lot of leverage. It would also give us a lot of leverage in any type of trade. So what's cool about that is we hopefully wouldn't have to give up too much of our actual on-court talent to get him.
Yeah.
But you have a really, and everyone has a really fair point that we have not seen much success right now in the league from these really, really big moves being made. However, I'm hoping that Giannis, for example, would be a level of player where there's no such thing as giving up too much.
Yeah.
But given this roster construction, that might not be true for this team. Um, and also, I'm hoping that the Pelicans are just dumb enough that Trey Murphy will be given up for not that much. So
We'll
we'll
see.
see. And PDX Bourne said this earlier, and we need to talk about Rob, dude, because he said we have to find a way to keep Rob this summer. It'd be a disaster if we let him leave and sign elsewhere. It may be hard with him being a unrestricted free agent. He's been, while on the court, the best player for this team this series. Is that a hot take?
What would this series have looked like if Rob couldn't play? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if we don't even have another backup center to go with because Hansen proved not to be ready, it would be so much more small ball and we'd be getting wrecked on defense. I think the Spurs would be putting up like 130 a night, whereas we're holding them into the, one slightly over 100 to one teens when they light it up. So without Rob, it would be this would kind of look like a disaster, which I think
And that I think
is I think maybe he's gonna say the same thing. Just like I think Rob's talent and kind of Drew's to an extent are masking up a lot of the things that maybe this team is struggling with in the young guys. But again, it's the young guys' first playoff series, and they're going against a 62 win team who's with an incredible unanimous depoy. Like, they should not look great, and they've looked great at times. So,
and that's the only thing that, because like I said, I don't even think I'm being optimistic. I think I'm being realistic about where the team is, but and that it's overall positive. But the one place where I could see people being pessimistic and being worried is that without Rob, we're down 3-0.
yeah.
Or what
Wait,
was
so
it 4-0?
series is
4-0.
over
We'd be
without Rob.
swept. Sorry,
Series is over.
it'd be over. Sorry, I forgot we lost. I was blocking out of my memory. We'd be down 4-0 and losing, I think, every game by double digits. Truly believe that. And he's going to be a free agent this season. So the question is, are we able to re-sign Rob as a free agent? Or if we can't, are we able to, moneyball it and make up for him in many different ways?
Yeah.
And that is concerning because I don't know where we'd be in this series without Rob. And that's tough to say about a backup big who could easily leave us. I would give Rob whatever he wants. I think he has proved he is as
Yeah.
valuable as it comes when he's playing. He's the most, I've said this a million times, on a permanent basis, he's the second best player on this team.
Yeah.
And on nights like tonight, where he actually played, you've been up with what, 25 minutes?
Let me see. Rob played 26 minutes. Yeah. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks.
Yeah,
Plus
and it's
3.
like that is a playoff basketball player. We're trying to see in the series like who are guys that can compete in the playoffs. Rob is at near the top of that list for this team. I think it is incredibly important that we re-sign him.
Yeah.
And PDX Boom said this, and I agree. It's bummed me out because that the crowd got silenced 2 games in a row. He was hoping for another competitive game at home. I'm still believing there's going to be one. How's it work again? It goes 2-2, 1-1-1.
2-2-1-1. So Spurs, San Antonio, Portland, San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're losing this game, uh, this next game yet. I really do not think it's over. I think it's the most Blazer thing to happen that we would come back and win a game in San Antonio after blowing back-to-back humongous leads at home.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Brad, I pulled up a list of free agents, and I have it showing on the stream. Free agents this upcoming season. I'll just because one thing that's nice to think about is the fact that we have $30 million coming off the books in just DeAndre Ayton money. So it's nice to know that not only would we just if we re-signed Rob for what we're paying for him now, we would do no damage to ourselves. We also have, well, I think that Aiden money is going to Tumani and Shaedon's extensions. I think is kind of what it is. So maybe more. We're playing around with the Matisse and the Rob money, but I'll just read off some names to you, see if any of these tickle your fancy. Vucevic, free agent. Anthony Simons, free agent. He's making $25 million next year. I wonder what someone's
Bring him home.
Bring him home. Shooter, depth, not two-way talent. Harrison Barnes, Norman Powell, Colin Sexton, Yusuf Nurkic. Bring him. I think the Jazz probably want to keep him. Zach Collins, Rui Hachimura, Dort and Bogdanovich have club options. Kevin Huerter, Mitchell Robinson, Kelly Olynyk, Robert Williams. Once you get down to here, like Rob and Matisse are making $11 million. I think these guys from like 12 to $6 million, like that's where Dundon's gonna try and make a living. Is bring in those types of guys. Like I wonder what Quentin Grimes is gonna make. I know someone brought that up earlier.
Yeah, someone just brought that up. Yeah.
So it's probably these types of guys. Ayo Dosunmu is making himself a lot of money. Very.
Oh
very
my God,
quickly.
he was so. What did he have? 43 last night.
Yeah, something like that.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's guys out there, but I mean, Rob is such a specific type of. I mean, clearly, if he could play 36 minutes, he would be starting on this team.
Oh yeah.
You agree with that, right? He would be starting over Clingan.
For sure, he'd be great. I'm just looking at these numbers and these players and like Rob's impact, at least especially we know in a playoff setting, is so much better than any free agent I'm reading on this list right now. That like, I mean, Luke Kennard stepped up. I guess he was, proving himself on the big stage there. But yeah, like I don't see really anyone on this list that screams like we need to save some money to give to Rob, especially with our depth. So yeah, I mean, pretty much whatever he wants. Again, Tom Dundon's probably going to be such a nuisance in the discussion room, in discussions, in contract negotiations, that I feel bad for Rob's agent, but we probably should give him whatever he wants.
Yeah. Conrad asked you a question. Would you trade one of the Milwaukee picks for Case and Wallace, given that Chet and J-Dub have their extensions kicking in and they're going to have to shed some cap?
Case and Wallace he's a winning player, and he's
unbelievable. I don't think he'd be worth a Milwaukee pick, but he's a guy I would absolutely love on the team. I probably wouldn't give up on the Milwaukee pick for something else.
I would give up a swap for Case and Wallace. I don't know if I think.
Would you?
I don't think the only. I think the only thing I wouldn't give up is maybe that best in 2029, but
yeah.
Like what?
Casey's kind of got some young Drew potential, dude.
Right. What player what can you realistically expect to be getting out of a draft pick that's better than Case and Wallace, unless it's like a top 4 pick? You know what I mean? And the thing with Case and Wallace is, those are the exact type of players that I think we need. Are ones that like, you see Case and Wallace is an all NBA level defender, but no one knows what Case and Wallace's offensive ceiling is. He could have that Drew type of Pelicans explosion because he hasn't.
Sure.
He's just been on a team with SGA, Chet, J-Dub. Like, I think he's going to be a very hot commodity, and we'd have to pay a pretty hefty price for him. I don't think the Thunder are taking a Bucks swap. They already have all the picks they could ever want.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Thunder are. They can put up a pretty penny for Case and Wallace. Ask for a pretty penny for Case and Wallace. So I think I would give up a swap for sure.
But also to BRDR Dad's point is like, I don't want to give OKC more picks.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like a deal with the devil. Like you're gonna come out probably losing.
Yeah. But Kenneth said this earlier. They played sloppy ball, costly turnovers. They don't deserve to win. Too sloppy. I agree. It was a very sloppy, unfocused second half of basketball.
Yeah.
And, Meek brought this up that, we've been saying this, we talked a lot about the lack of screens. But another annoying thing about the lack of screening is not just it would create more lanes for our guards and for Denny to drive, but it would at least put in some effort of taking Wemby out of the paint.
Yeah.
Because if you want, he would have to come up at least a little bit on these screens. Still a very difficult guy to drive on.
Yeah.
But it's that second half, dude. It's like we were just begging for Wimby to play the droppiest of drop coverage,
It's
yet still challenging him at the rim while doing nothing to try to take him out of
it
it.
was our offense was literally trying to have Denny, Jeremy, or Drew beat one of their wing defenders who are all solid to great off the dribble and then beat Wemby in the paint. It's probably the most backward style of offense I could think of.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. It's really tough, and it does raise questions about Tiago. However, like I've said, Dunnan has made it feel like Tiago's the best option, which is why I don't
It's what is
even
what
know
is
if it's worth complaining about anything Tiago's doing right now, and just hope that given the situation he was put in, he will improve over the offseason,
I
just like
mean, do
he's
you
how he's
okay, well
improved over the course of the year.
let's have the conversation then because like do you think there's a world where like say Dundon does offer Ben McCollum of Iowa, who's clearly he's let's call it this. Ben McCollum of Iowa, he's the complete opposite of Tiago. He has
Sure.
X's and O's out the wazoo. He is clearly an innovative coach who is raising the level of talent of his players. He's got one guy, Bennett Sturts, and everyone else on that team basically sucked and he dragged them. Not he's dragged multiple teams to better records in college, right? He's all X's and O's, but he doesn't have a drop of NBA experience. Like, do you think that is worth some sort of risk for this team in the sense that if we can rally around and play hard still, believe in this guy and let him grow in that regard, that the X's and O's that would unlock this team are worth it? Or do you think it's like locker room energy trumps that, togetherness trumps that, and there's not enough X's and O's that you can instill in the NBA to where risking breaking up a locker room and bringing in a guy who's never been in an NBA locker room before is worth it?
I think X's and O's type stuff are a lot more tangible and will work a lot better in college basketball. Because I hear a lot, and we talk a lot about, schemes, defense. You hear a lot about schemes, adjustments, blah, blah, blah. Not many people can say exactly what those schemes are.
Sure.
And the reality and every coach will tell you this too in the NBA. And a lot of people kind of want to deny this, that every NBA team has complex, different offensive schemes that are wildly different from each other.
Yeah.
There's definitely differences between the ways teams run sets. It's largely similar. And there's not a coach that will tell you differently. There's not if Are there things here and there for sure that are different from team to team? Absolutely. But there's no such thing, I think, as a guy who can come in and wildly make an offense look different in a way that no one else in the NBA knew how to do.
Yeah.
There's smaller changes that can be made, like it's why stuff like higher on ball and higher screen usage is something that in the
Simple.
NBA, that's something you can make a change of because these are the best defenders in the world. You can't trick defenses that much. It's why most teams are. It's more about are you running the stuff well, more so
Yeah.
than what are you running. It's why when's the last time like an X and O genius came and switched up an NBA offense? I guess Ott with the Suns did a really good job,
With the Suns
but
helped, but he got them just playing harder. Like he got them playing
exactly.
defense. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't really know enough, and I haven't watched enough Suns basketball to sit here and say that like, oh, they haven't been doing more complex stuff necessarily. But it's not. I feel like I'm tuned into the NBA enough to know that like they're like Jordan Knott's a good coach, but they're not like Jordan Knott's a mastermind. Even like I think Missoula is probably the best example where Missoula's probably gonna win Coach of the Year. He's clearly got some sort of next level to him,
Yep.
but even that I think is like Missoula has so baked into him like the locker room together. Missoula has both, and I think
Yeah.
probably what you need is the bring the locker room together, play hard and intense, and do all those things. You need to establish that first, and then you can hope that your coach brings along the other things, and that's where we're at with Tiago. I think trying to bring in X's and O's when you don't have that locker room intensity and the trust of the guys and the egos in check, basically, trying to do the try to instill like running plays without that can be a really slippery slope. So yeah, I
But the
think
question I always
yeah,
ask is, what are, and I'm not asking you
yeah,
directly, but I mean this in general. What are these schemes?
yeah,
What are these X's and O's?
yeah. I think
Because you
well,
use
yeah,
they're used so much as generalities. Like, man, we need a different scheme. It's okay. What scheme is the Spurs running, or the Spurs running that is so dominant compared to the scheme that we're running?
yeah,
It's the new, because you used to always hear the word used to always be the system. Like, I mean, this team has the best system in the league. It's like, okay, what's that system?
yeah,
What are this system, their schemes that they're running? And a lot of people, I can't answer that, and most people can't, because these schemes, there's nothing that drastically different. It's about doing specific little things different that give
yeah.
you
Agree.
smaller advantages that add up.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not about a humongous takedown of how an offense is ran, because
right.
most offenses are somewhat similar.
Yeah. No, I think it's like with the Missoula and the Celtics, it's like it's less about like a play you run. It's like we're gonna space out and huck threes because that's mathematically. It's like a play, like you said, like a play style more. And I would love that.
Agreed.
I
It's a
would,
play style difference
yeah,
more so than because teams don't just, it's not 2K. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Every play is not like they're running this exact play. There's little plays ran here and there, but it's mostly a guys make decisions on the spot.
yeah,
It's about coaching the guys to make those right decisions, not instilling drastically different schemes that are going to just blow opposing defenses
sure,
away.
sure,
It's the NBA.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's not a college coach out there with a genius scheme that's going to change
Gonna
anything
break
dramatically.
the system. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we'll
It's
see.
just not out there.
Yeah. So that's our coach rant. I think
Yeah.
we're getting towards the end of our maybe bandwidth here is to try, gotten away from the Blazers, but I think 2 hours is what we were going for. Again, appreciate all of you guys for hanging out in here this whole time. Totally understand if you got something else you want to do on your Sunday evening, so feel free to go do that. I think we'll hop out of here in a second here. If you're on your way out, drop a like on the stream if you could. It would really help us, grow for next time. But yeah, again, appreciate all you guys being in here. We'll hit a few more comments before we get out of here and hit our 2 hour quota. But
Yeah. And just to emphasize, I think coaching is actually underrated in the NBA, but for different reasons than I think are usually put out.
yeah,
I think that having a good coach is endlessly important, but I don't think it's because of the geniusly different schemes that are brought to the table.
yeah, yeah. PDX
And if
Born
you
says,
disagree, please in the comments tell me what these
yeah,
schemes are,
yeah,
because I would love to know.
yeah. PDX Born says, to be fair, this is Splitter's first season and first playoff series. I
Yep.
think he has room to improve. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Tiago is like he has clearly proven to be an ascending coach. Like
Yes.
he was. I don't know what he did before Paris basketball, but he came into Paris basketball, won the EuroLeague immediately, got elevated to an assistant coaching role in the NBA, and he was an assistant coach with other teams before. So assistant coach, wins Paris basketball, comes back to the NBA, lead assistant coach, immediately made head coach. Like Tiago is an embodiment of this team that, like, yeah, he's not perfect, but Tiago's clearly getting better. And I think this season as a whole, the way we've gotten better over the course of the season is a really big indicator of that. So Tiago's growing just as much as any other player is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And we've seen it throughout the season. And Sabir just asked, could you see Blazers in 7? I'm insane enough that I'm going to say yes. Is it an unbelievably difficult task that it has
Yeah.
a 99% chance of not happening? Yes. But could I
Yeah.
see it? Of course, because we've shown we can be competitive in all of these games. A miracle is always possible, especially with this team.
Yeah. Yeah, Tiago, assistant coach under Udoka in 2023. He was just a player development coach and scout before. It doesn't have
But
his
here's the thing, dude. People in
Euro
Houston
20
don't like
season.
Udoka right now. Everyone hates their coach.
Yeah, coaches.
You know what I
people are so
mean? No
mad.
one likes their coach.
It's hard
So
it is
it's
hard to nail a coach. So to let a guy go who has done as much as he have is, like everyone is clearly bringing up, would be a pretty
yeah.
insane move. So keep Tiago. Go Blazers.
You guys hear
Didn't name
Rob
names
and Grant need
soon.
to start in Game 5? Sorry, you can go.
Nah, just kind of reading the last ones.
But yeah, do you guys feel Rob, Will, and Grant need to start in Game 5 over Clingan and two more double high pick and rolls need to be called, improved defense, communication, better transition D. We agree with all that. Would it maybe be a better thing to do to start Rob and Jeremy? Yeah, but it's just I think there's just no way that's going to happen this late into the season. I don't
Yeah.
think we're at a point where there's going to be any starting lineup changes to be made. And to be honest, like Rob's playing as many minutes as he can.
Yeah.
And our problem has not been getting off to good starts,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't think the starting lineup is the issue. Though it's a great question, and you have a good point to it. And PDX Born respond to it saying at this point it can't hurt. I just don't think that's quite the issue at this time because
Yeah.
we've gotten off to great starts. The starting lineup is not what's hurting us, and Rob is playing as many minutes as he can because he
Yeah.
can't go over a certain amount.
Yeah. I think the slap in the face, I guess, it would be to Clingan on what could potentially be the last game of the season when Clingan has started every single game before. I think it's just clearly not worth it. The latter part of what you're saying, more double high pick and rolls need to be called, improve our defensive communication, especially when we start blowing leads, and better transition D, I think are all great things. More transition offense. I think those are the yeah, it's not really about who's out there as much as the fact that the people out there need to be playing better. I think they just
And
got their ass whooped in the second half.
and the defensive communication thing, dude, is one of the most important things. You watch a lot of these plays, and I don't really see a lack of effort. I see risks being made without
Mm-hmm.
communicating to the other guy about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of constant where it's like a guy, collapses on D without telling the guy who should be recovering onto the collapse, like, hey, I'm doing this. And you see a lot of the after the play, them looking at each other like, I didn't know you were doing that. Well, I didn't know you were doing that. Not a lack of effort. And that could also be a coaching thing. Part of coaching is, getting a team that's talking to each other well, coaching to be uh, communicative, and that's just not something we have really seen that much defensively. And especially when you're running a defensive style that's very, like I've already talked about, kind of chaotic and a lot of movement, um, which is also kind of a coaching thing. But that's kind of another good example of what a coach does. Like in terms of defense, it's about coaching a team to, hey, we're going to move a lot and crash a lot, or we're going to, kind of keep things still and drop like those are decisions that have to do with coaching that I hope we see be improved, if not next game, then going into next season.
Yeah.
And HB brings up a good point. It's like if they start who's contributing off the bench, it's like yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
exactly kind of
Then you're bringing
kind of
Clingan off the
switches the
bench.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. About 2 hours. Seamus last comment said Dame should be upgraded to questionable just for the fear factor. Just make it happen. Just at least put him questionable so everyone freaks out. Because at
Can I
this
give a
point
really
it'll
hot
cause
take?
all the headlines. Yeah.
I think there's like a 50-50 chance he play, and this could be insane. But there's no, well, and actually the Oregonian said like it's no longer impossible that he's playing.
Yeah.
Thiago said he's probably not
I
playing.
know.
We're down 3-1. I just have a weird. Dame had another vague Instagram story today. I have a very weird feeling that he's going to get uh, at least be questionable for the next game. I really do believe that.
I think I would be shocked to be honest. But I
I'd be
wouldn't
surprised, not shocked.
shocked. Sure. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we got at least one more Blazer game left, so regardless of how you feel about it or our chances in that game in this series, enjoy it because it'll be the last. It could be the last one for another 6 months. So relish in it. We don't have
Final call. Do we win that game?
I don't think we'll win. I think the Spurs kind of found their groove. I think our punches that needed to be hit had to happen in these past two games. I think we had a
Yeah.
good chance to win both of them, and we proved that we could make some noise. But I think we're going down in 5. That's my prediction. I'm gonna sit there, and when we get off to another good start, I'm gonna believe we can do it. But I think if I had to guess, I think it's probably our last Blazer game of the season.
I say we do win. I think it's just such a I really do believe that.
Yeah,
It's just such a classic
Blazer
Blazer
moment.
thing to happen. I
Yeah,
really do think we get one more. I think it's almost more likely we win that than lose at home than it is for us to
sure.
lose in San Antonio than
Yeah,
have that be the series. So
I feel you on that regard.
It is a bummer we didn't get one at home. Like it's kind of unbelievable when you
I
think about
know.
it that we had a 19 and 17 point lead. But it also makes complete sense given this team.
Yeah.
It's so incredible that over my entire life the problems remain the same for the Blazers
The
teams.
Blazers are a team that just cannot finish it and can't not choke the game away.
Yeah.
There's the same thing with a
It's
lot of those
been
Dame teams.
one of my earliest memories of being like, "Oh, the Blazers." I remember being like 5 and I knew that the Blazers had blown it to the Lakers in game 7. I remember the concept of that being in my head.
Yeah.
Like, even though I was 3 when it happened, I remember that being something that was like a knowledge of mine. This is the first thing I learned is that this Blazer team will blow a fourth quarter or second half lead. And they
Yeah.
continue to do it with new ownership, new coaches, new
New
players.
players.
But on the other hand, we make miracles happen.
Yeah.
I've seen more amazing things happen from this team. So I always say, if you're going to be a fan of a Celtics, Lakers level team, the Blazers are the most fun team to have. You're going to feel the full emotional impact of being a
Spectrum.
sports fan.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to see on Tuesday. We're going to have a wonderful emotional victory and then have our hearts ripped
Ripped
out of
out.
us at home. Yeah.
That's fair enough. I could totally
Yeah.
see that. So we'll see. Everyone, thank you for hanging out. Those of you who were in here the whole time, those of you who popped in for just a minute, those of you who just showed up right now. We appreciate you all. This has been awesome. We've been having such a fun ride going live after all these games. Drop a like on the stream for us if you can. If you're new here and you enjoyed hearing us talk, please subscribe too. We would love that.
Yeah.
But all in all, just keep the vibes positive. Spread the good love of the Blazer fan base. And the Blazers are cool.
Blazers are cool. Still cool.
They're still cool. Despite the chokes, we're still cool, I promise.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys later.